Hi, this is a response to a question that I've had following yesterday's video. Quick intro for people that haven't come across my channel before, but I'm Dan Cooper. I'm 39 years of age, living in Norfolk with my 3 little doggies. Yesterday I did a video with reference to the rape that I went through, the timeline of events, dates, times, places. Check it out, it's on my pinned post. Today I've been asked a question around how I felt after the rape. So just to give you some form of idea as to what happened straight after, I drove home. I got home around 4 o'clock in the morning. I was still living at home with my mum and dad. I was 19 years of age. I tried to go into the house and run a bath. However, my mum shouted, "What the fuck do you think you're doing? Get to bed." It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I had a brother and sister. I totally respect what she did on that day. She didn't know what had happened, and she didn't find out for a long period of time, until I was in hospital for a long period of time, what had happened. I then laid in bed. I couldn't sleep until the point that I slept for a couple of hours, and I got up early afternoon. Early afternoon, I went across to see a friend that lived close. However, she just had an argument with someone and wasn't in the mood to talk. That then left me with no one to talk to. And because I was quite shamed through what had gone on, I couldn't talk to anyone. I couldn't talk to anyone about what had happened. I felt dirty, I felt sick, I felt anger, I felt blaming yourself. I felt shame. I felt people are going to judge me. I thought, what the fuck have I just had happen to me? And I was 19. I was still very young. I guess at that age I was also quite a late developer as well. And through being a late developer, I didn't then understand absolutely everything that maybe I should have at that age. But again, should I blame myself? No, I shouldn't. Did I at that time? Yes, I did. I then went back home and I slept. And I slept to the point of eventually being diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. But that went over a number of months, because a week later, I was in hospital having my appendix out, or just over a week later. It was painful. It was an absolutely awful time of my life. I did report it to the police in 2004. However, I wasn't strong enough to go to court, and I did explain that on the other video that I did. So between 2004 to 2018, there was certain areas within my life where this did come up. Not the rape itself, but how I felt and how people came towards me. So an instance of this was, I was working within the prison service. I trained to be a self-harm and suicide prevention assessor. And I'd talk to some of the prisoners, and I'd always be quite down to earth with them. And when they would tell me that they'd been abused by their dad, their loved one, like some random person as a child, I used to have to hold back the tears. But I could then empathise with what they'd gone through, and that meant that I could try to help them to the best of my ability. However, I had to still remain strong with them, because if I didn't remain strong with them, I'd show weakness. And you couldn't show weakness as a prison officer, because you were there to maintain order, build rapport, and look after them, as well as protect the public by them escaping or do anything that they shouldn't be doing. So it was about that balancing that fine line. There was then other things that came up in my life, and I was like, what do I do? What should I say? How could I deal with this? Or when people start making laughs and jokes about something sexual assault related or rape related, I would literally just look down at the floor. And they wouldn't mean to do it on purpose, and often they wouldn't even know about it. And sometimes it was black humour for them to deal with something themselves. And you just had to look around the room or escape that situation because you didn't want to be there. Anyway, that is a kind of rough summary around how I felt, especially some triggers that then came up in the meantime. I absolutely detest hospitals now, and I do detest hospitals. I can't go into them on my own. I have to have someone to go in there with me. They're a massive trigger. I've got various other triggers, but I have worked with a psychologist very closely, and it has done me the world of good. And this is what I want to stress to people, like, reach out for help if you are not coping very well. because it is really, really important that you do so. And that's all I can really say at the moment. There will be quite a few more videos come out. I have done a lot already. They are on my wall. They're probably lost down at the bottom of the page somewhere. But thanks for listening, guys, and thank you for your support so far.